Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on a Monday night. Hope everybody's week got off to a fantastic start and you're ready to go through some more of the things that ended up costing the Titans an opportunity on Sunday, but more importantly, may have given teams like the New England Patriots ways to slow down their pass rush, which is one of the best things that Tennessee is doing right now. Tonight, you're going to hear from Mike Vrabel, his Monday recap press conference that we did with him today, and we'll discuss specifically what happened to the Titans pass rush in that game and how the Texans may have just given the rest of the NFL a game plan to beat Mike Vrabel's defense. We'll spend some time on that. Like I said, you'll hear from Mike, and then we'll talk about the wide receiver position, some updates on A.J. Brown that should put you in a more comfortable headspace, at least for the time being, and talk about potentially who's going to need to play against the New England Patriots in Foxborough on Sunday. A lot of good stuff to get to on this shortened primetime week. So, and we'll also spend some time on something that I'm very, very passionate about right now, which is Netflix streaming, but we'll talk about that later on. Before we get started with this show, I need you to share it. I need you to retweet the show if you're hanging out with us on Twitter. You can do that in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. If you are hanging out with us on Facebook Live, you can share now to public. That's how your Facebook friends can get involved. If you're on YouTube or on Twitch, please be kind enough to subscribe to the A to Z Sports channel. Throw us a like on the video. We would be grateful for that as well. And now that more of you are here, we can go ahead and begin the primetime proceedings officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime time on a Monday night from the DraftKings Sportsbook Studios. I'm your host, Buck Rising. I'm proud, as always, to be presented to you by Brymak Mechanical, B-R-Y-M-A-K, Brymak.com. Satisfaction guaranteed on all of your HVAC needs. They'll put you in position to succeed. Brymak has you covered and in your comfort zone at B-R-Y-M-A-K, Brymak Mechanical. Two Rivers Ford, the best Ford dealer in the state of Tennessee, with an award-winning customer service, support staff, non-commissioned salespeople, and quality American-made Ford vehicles. Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com. DraftKings Sportsbook, promo code A2Z Sports, that's A-T-O-Z Sports, gets you in on all the action, particularly on Thanksgiving when there will be football played, and we'll tell you more about that later in the show. And, of course, the official real estate agent of the Tennessee Titans, the Nashville Predators, and A to Z Sports Primetime is the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage, your dream address without the stress at GaryAshton.com. So there was a lot of different things that went wrong for the Titans yesterday, some of which we talked about last night at Nissan Stadium, some of which we discussed today on the radio show, and then as we were getting through today's proceedings and we got to Mike Vrabel's press conference about noon, Mike was asked about, why didn't the pass rush get home the way that it has been in the last couple of weeks? And I don't want to say that Mike quite laughed it off, but he gave a response that was completely and totally reasonable for what it is that the Texans' offensive game plan was. And you'll hear that here in just a second from Mike Vrabel's press conference earlier today. But first, I want to hear from you before we hear from the head coach. I want your Two Rivers Ford take. What did you observe was the reason that the Titans weren't able to get pressure on Tyrod Taylor? Give me your response. Why weren't the Titans able to get pressure on the Texans yesterday? Give me your answer on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. We'll talk about it at great length. Why weren't the Titans able to get pressure on Tyrod Taylor yesterday? We will discuss in the comment section, and we will get into it over the course of this evening's show. Justin Tomaselli says he thinks the wet weather gave Taylor a huge advantage when scrambling, just a bad game. And here's what I'll say, Justin, quickly, is that the offense is always going to benefit from the conditions being poor, because the offense knows where the football is going, and the defense has to, of course, react to where the play is going at any given point. And if you're on literal uncertain footing, it can make your life a lot harder, which maybe with some of that, but I don't think it was that big of a factor to today. We'll talk about that here in just a second. Your Two Rivers Ford take. Why weren't the Titans able to pressure Tyrod Taylor right after I tell you about our friends at Two Rivers Ford? They present the take, the Two Rivers Ford take, that is, each and every night. We're appreciative of Two Rivers Ford, just as you'll be appreciative if you choose to do business with Two Rivers Ford. Two Rivers Ford is the best in the business. They've been the best since they started doing business in Middle Tennessee in 1983, and they will be that way because their formula focuses on honesty, integrity, and fair upfront pricing. That's what the whole Two Rivers Ford experience is. It's no pressure on you as the customer because their sales staff doesn't work on commission. They are going to make a paycheck whether they sell you a vehicle or not. It is because the Ford product simply cannot be beat, whether it's the 2022 Ford Maverick, the upcoming 2022 F-150 all-electric Lightning, the all-electric Mach-E Mustang, and of course, the Bronco that you see in front of you there, a hot ticket item at Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com. So, why do you think the Titans weren't able to get a pass rush? Andrew Ferris says, how do we get a 2020 33 touchdown, 7 interception Ryan Tannehill versus this year's 13 touchdowns and 12 interceptions? What the hell? Well, yesterday, he didn't play a good game, and we talked about the Tannehill experience. I think if you went back and watched that game, I don't know how many of you guys are rewatching Titans games the way that I do, but I mean, I'm paid to, so that's part of the job. But Des Fitzpatrick on the one that ended the game. Oh, Brashad Perryman's got to catch that touchdown. If you're watching Monday Night Football, Tom Brady is pissed. But just like Tom Brady, perfect example. Tom Brady was just let down in the end zone by his wide receiver. And Des Fitzpatrick, who did catch a touchdown pass in that game, his first career touchdown pass, also put Ryan Tannehill in a terrible position by not running the correct route and Tannehill throwing an interception. The conditions didn't help. And again, Tannehill is not absolved from how poorly a game that was for him on the whole. But there were opportunities. And when you needed guys to make plays instead of A.J. Brown and Julio Jones, even Marcus Johnson, Des Fitzpatrick was not able to live up to the billing outside of that one touchdown. Was not a good situation. But right now we're talking about the pass rush. Brian Scherf says almost all quick passes. Everybody's got a game plan till they get hit in the mouth, says Derek Morning. Well, yeah, but they weren't really getting hit in the mouth. It was just they did well to keep the pressure off Tyrod. Derek Rhodes says the quick passes and they double-teamed Big Jeff most of the game. There was a lot of that, and I think it's a combination of all of those things, but frankly, they weren't going to let the pass rush beat them yesterday. That was exactly how David Culley and his Texans staff evaded the Titans pass rush.
The tape again, what was happening up front on defense to allow Taylor so much free space to roam?
No, there wasn't much free space. He went around the edge. He was faster than us. We came inside. So you saw that, Luke. You did. You know what I mean? Like, you knew that.
So no sacks also.
No, they threw – their longest game was a jet sweep. Their longest pass play was a jet sweep. You watched the same game I did. Let's break it down defensively. Their longest game was a jet sweep. I thought we affected the quarterback. Unfortunately, we didn't contain him. And that's really what bothers you because it doesn't make him earn it. And there you go with, he's maybe not, to his credit, didn't throw it into places where that we could take advantage of it and find a way to intercept the ball. They were low or, we played off of them and we didn't, those are things that I was frustrated with. We should have been up challenging, but, we didn't feel like the matchup at a particular place was great. I don't think we rushed them poorly, but again, the plays that they made, those were critical. The edges on the red zone, the first third down scramble. We could get off the field right there. That leads to a long drive. So that's what we had to do. We don't think we have to worry about the pass rush per se. It's just knowing who the quarterback is, knowing where we think he may be able to scramble, and doing a better job of containing him. That's one of the things that we talked about as a key, is making them earn everything, and we did for the most part, with the exception of a few penalties and that quarterback scramble.
So that's Mike Vrabel today. He's kind of poking fun at Luke Worsham a little bit because Mike understands that you're not going to get home as a defender when they're getting rid of the ball the way that they are, and when their longest pass completion, as he said, was a jet sweep. Like, there were strategies that not every NFL team is going to be able to employ, but things that worked, at least in the first half, because the Titans defense played a hell of a second half. Frankly, they really, really did. And I think that's going under discussed. In this one, I think overall the Titans defense played a pretty good game, even if they let the Texans hang around in the first half longer than they really should have. You're not going to play a perfect game, but what the Titans did in the second half more than made up for what they allowed in the first. So this is what Mike Vrabel is saying. Yeah, they came out and they found ways to make it harder for us, make it almost impossible for us to get home with the rate of speed that the ball is coming out and the fact that they're a run-based team first and foremost. Alex M is declaring that we're not a real 8-3 team. Well, no, in fact, you are a real 8-3 team because your record says you're an 8-3 team. Just as the Texans' record indicates that they're a 2-8 team. Condoleezza Rice is going to be on the Manning cast tonight. I just saw that pop up. That's pretty funny. We're not a real 8-3 team, says Alex. Well, then I don't know how you describe 8-3 or 2-8, or what are the Bucks a real 6-3 team? Are the Giants a real 3-6 team? It's just such a dumb way to do the analysis, Alex. You're better than that. So there's a lot of different reasons why the Titans weren't able to get home in a way that was clear and obvious to everyone. And I think after you went back and watched that game, you understood a little better about what went wrong. Now, I know Austin Stanley did some research this morning, and I want to give you some of those stats that Austin did well to dig up today about the Titans defense. But I'll tell you that here in just a second, right after I tell you about our friends at DraftKings at Brymak Mechanical. Let me tell you about Brymak Mechanical. BRYMAK, Brymak.com. Satisfaction guaranteed on all of your HVAC needs. Brymak will put you in your comfort zone. They'll put you in a position to succeed. It is what Brymak strives to be, and is every time you give them a call or you visit them at Brymak.com. They will ensure that you get exactly what you're looking for as somebody who requires HVAC service. Whether you're doing it commercially, whether you're doing it residentially, Brymak has you covered. BRYMAK, Brymak Mechanical. So the Titans defense in the second half was as good as it's been all year long. There's a lot of good things that the Titans defense did yesterday. As Scott Trevathan points out, they played really well in the second half. The current active roster on game day may not be a real 8-3 team. However, the entire 2021 Titans team is certainly an 8-3 team. Right? That's just, Bill Parcells was on the Manning cast earlier, right? You are what your record says you are. I don't know why people are so convinced or are so caught up in real 8-3 versus not real 8-2 and blah, 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 whatever. I look at this, and I pulled up this stat from Austin Stanley. At Austin Stanley 81 is where you can follow him. And, of course, he hosts the morning show here with Zach Bingham on the A to Z Sports Nashville Network. The Titans defense held the Texans to a total of 7 yards and 0 first downs on their last 6 possessions. Texans had 13 points of their 22 off of turnovers and only gained 1 total yard on those scores. Without the 5 turnovers, we'd be focusing on another great defensive performance by the Tennessee Titans. It's just, the defense is legitimate. And what David Culley did, to the Texans' credit, they found ways to capitalize. But it was absolutely the Titans tripping all over themselves. As Ryan Tannehill told us last night, as we played those clips back for you last night on Primetime from the stadium, and of course this morning on the radio show. There's so much there that you look at and you say, well, my God, if the Titans could have just gotten out of their own way, it means, as MB says on YouTube, it means nothing if your offense plays like that. You can waste a fantastic defensive performance, and it appears that they did because your offense simply kept stepping on its own feet. And of course, the injuries, as we all know, are a real thing. Now, you did get some positive news on the injury front today regarding A.J. Brown, and we'll talk about that coming up next. The question that I have for you guys on A to Z Sports Primetime from the DraftKings Sportsbook Studios is this. When the Titans and myself travel to Foxborough to see the Patriots game on Sunday, who will play wide receiver for the Titans against the Patriots? Let me know in the comments section on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, and on Twitch. The Patriots, winners of their last 5 games. They're undefeated on the road. Their record on the road is better than it is at home this season, although they are improving in many, many different facets. Who will play for the Titans at wide receiver against the Patriots? I think this is a pretty interesting question at this point, given the fact that Marcus Johnson and A.J. Brown left that game with injuries and did not return. We will talk about that momentarily right after I tell you about DraftKings Sportsbook. They have a fantastic offer for you if you are going to keep betting, and you should keep betting, football games this Thanksgiving. Be thankful for free bets. That's right. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, has a Turkey Day no-brainer. New customers can bet just $1 on any Thanksgiving NFL game and win $100 in free bets if either team scores a point. All DraftKings customers can also get in on a new same-game parlay offer that's sweeter than Grandma's pumpkin pie for the Thanksgiving games. All customers get a risk-free bet up to $25 if your same-game parlay doesn't win. Simply download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code A2Z Sports. That's ATOZ Sports. Bet just $1 on any Thanksgiving NFL game and win $100 in free bets if either team scores a point. That's code A2Z Sports this Thanksgiving at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee to bet. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789. So, who's playing wide receiver for this team this coming Sunday on Thanksgiving weekend? It's pretty interesting what the situation for them is at this point. Whoever it is, they better step up because Belichick will shut down A.J. Brown. Hopefully A.J. Brown, says Giancarlo De Leo. Zach Lyons simply says, "You're a turkey no-brain." Oh, I've been gotten by the great Zach Lyons of Football and Other F words. There is reason to believe that A.J. Brown will be available at this point. I think that he is still a day-to-day proposition based on my understanding. But if you look at AJ, or if you look at the reporting on AJ today from Ian Rappaport, who was the first out here this morning with the medical situation of AJ Brown, and I'll read you the exact tweet to be specific. AJ Brown, who left yesterday's game early with a chest injury, had negative x-rays on his ribs, source said. He'll have more tests today, and those can sometimes show more damage, but promising early returns. Now, it's my understanding based off that was 10 hours ago. Since then, it's my understanding that he is in decent shape. I think that they will still consider him day to day. I don't expect him to do much this week at practice, but I do think they just showed Mike Vrabel soaked in the rain at halftime of this Monday Night Football game. I don't necessarily know that he's a sure thing to play on Sunday. Derek Rhodes says NWI Chester Rogers and Marcus Johnson, hopefully. Well, Marcus Johnson, I think, has less of a chance to play against the Patriots this weekend. Again, it's a hamstring for him, and that's just such a bad spot for him to be in. But Mike Vrabel was asked about their wide receiver depth at his press conference earlier this morning, and this is what the Titans head coach had to say.
He was available as part of it, but at the receiver position, how tough a spot he in, maybe from a depth standpoint, and who might be available.
Well, we'll figure out that, maybe later on. We need a few days to kind of let the dust settle, and we'll see, if there's guys here that can help us, or, always guys that we could bring in from other places.
So, it's a pretty generic answer from Mike, and anything about injuries is going to be the case. Here's what the Titans have outside of the three names that we just mentioned. Josh Reynolds, of course, is no longer on the team. He did play a ton of snaps for the 09-1 Detroit Lions yesterday. Cody Hollister, Mason Kinsey, and Chris Rowland are the three wide receivers on the practice squad at this point. It leaves a lot to be desired as far as your skill position players are concerned. And Des Fitzpatrick, again, there was some good stuff, but the game was lost on that interception. It may have been a culmination of things that ended up making it that play that cost them the game, but that third interception was what killed it. And that, of course, is the way that the Titans, they had no hope at that point. Everything else was pressing. Titans Kyle says we are going to destroy that record of 84 players suiting up for the season. I don't think that they've surpassed it just yet. I think they will surpass it on Sunday. So again, I would bet the over. Chris Frazier says AJ isn't going to sit out. Well, he may not have a choice if they sit him. That's not necessarily up to him, Chris. Ferkser has been such a disappointment this year. I thought letting Jonnu walk, he would have stepped up with a bigger role. He's gotten opportunities. He just hasn't done anything with them. And he got his first touchdown of the year, but it was on that weird fumble recovery in the end zone that he ended up getting credit for a touchdown for. The Ferkser experience has not been good. And we were joking, I think it was leaving practice last Wednesday. Myself, John Glennon of Sports Illustrated, and a couple of other people. And Johnny was saying, yeah, I got to call a lot of the radio affiliates that I did hits on during the offseason, because I was telling people as far as fantasy football is concerned that Anthony Ferkser was going to be a sleeper. And of course he has done he hadn't done absolutely nothing, but he has done precious little for the Titans at this point. Any chance of a free agent addition, says David Allen? Of course there is a chance. There are some names out there, but none of the names are guys that are going to give you substantially more than the practice squad players are right now. And also, at least the quarterback, for whatever his connection is with guys like Des Fitzpatrick and how little work he's getting with them, at least the guys on the practice squad have the opportunity to rep it out with the quarterback here and already in on what the Titans are doing systematically, where you don't have to catch up get a new player up to speed. It's just not a better solution at this point. Now, if you bring in somebody, if you're going to miss AJ or Marcus for multiple games, then you could bring somebody in and get them up to speed and find ways to get them involved in the playbook. But at this point, for Sunday, I don't think there's not a solution that's not on the roster that helps you on Sunday. So I would say to you that, you miss Jonnu Smith a lot, but Jonnu Smith, did Jonnu Smith play for the Patriots on Thursday night? I'm pretty sure he's missed a lot of games this season. I haven't yet started watching the Patriots other than having seen them on TV a couple of times this year. But Jonnu has not been available for the Pats either. There's no guarantee that he doesn't have those injuries, but in Tennessee if he stays. But there is a lot to be desired at the tight end position. What about Walker at tight end, says Billy Jordan? Like Delaney? No. What are you going to do with Delaney Walker? What is Delaney Walker going to give you to the offense right now? I think Delaney was a great player while he was here. I'm not trying to dismiss what Delaney Walker was, but he's not that. If he could play, if he could do the job, he would be on a roster right now. And nobody is sniffing around Delaney Walker. So I think that AJ, it'll come down to the wire. I think that there's a better chance than not that Marcus Johnson isn't available based on what the feeling is at this moment as we sit here Monday at 8:50 p.m. Of Patriots week. Again, a lot to be desired at this point for the Titans. And I just think that they are going to be, I'm more concerned about the offensive line against the Patriots, frankly, because the Patriots defensive front is nasty. Billy Jordan Jr. says we got Peterson. Yeah, but Peterson isn't any good either. So you want more old out of time players, basically. Billy, are you enjoying the Adrian Peterson experience? You want more of the of the old players on your roster for what? Like, I don't understand that logic. This is like people getting caught. I mean, just don't get caught up in names like this. You know who Adrian Peterson is. Obviously, he's been great historically. You know who Delaney Walker is. He's been great historically, but historic. These guys are dinosaurs at this point. You can't give me Adrian Peterson and then act like you're enjoying the Adrian Peterson experience, because the Adrian Peterson experience not good right now. Alfred Gomez Jr., do you know if Nate Davis will be back? I don't know that, Alfred, and I'm honestly concerned about Nate Davis as much as anybody on the roster, because this is back-to-back, or not back-to-back games. He did play one game in between, but he's now missed 2 games dealing with concussions in the last 3 weeks. It's really bad at this point, and so you hope that he can get himself in a place where the concussions aren't a recurring situation. And it's so hard to tell with concussions in football, especially playing offensive line. But I mean, I thought the Titans' offensive line was better than it has been in weeks. And I'll be honest with you, I thought that Aaron Brewer was better at right guard. I thought that Aaron Brewer was a lot better, not a lot better, but better at right guard than Nate Davis has all year long. The Nate Davis is it's so strange. And I don't know. I'm not smart enough to know what to attribute that to. And Nate Davis, I couldn't tell you the last time we talked to Nate Davis. He's not much of a talker anyway, but yeah, Nate Davis we haven't heard or seen him in a long time. It's just not good. Not good at this point. But Aaron Brewer, I mean, he didn't even allow a pressure on Sunday. So I think that Aaron Brewer might be the better solution moving forward at this point. Let's wrap up the Monday night show and let's talk about streaming services. Of course, by the way, we'll just so you guys know, moving forward, the primetime week is going to be different. No Wednesday or Thursday show, obviously, because of Thanksgiving, because of the holiday. And I am going to do primetime on Sunday night from New England, but that will be the only primetime show that I do that week, because I'm going to Egypt. I'm going to Cairo, Egypt on the bye week to see my family. And at this point, I'm being advised not to travel to the Middle East with my reporter equipment for obvious reasons. Now, I do have a little equity with my people over there, but I would like to be able to come home without much hassle, and it's not going to be a long trip. But yeah, my dad's side of the family lives over there. I obviously haven't been since my dad died a couple of years ago. I haven't had the opportunity I didn't get to see him. I didn't get to go to the funeral, and I haven't seen my side of the family over there in quite some time, obviously, because one, it's a hell of a trip to make. I'm going to be in the air total 40 hours round trip. And I'm really only going to get to be in Egypt for about 3 days. But my dad's brothers and sister are there, and I'm looking forward to seeing them and spending some time with family that you rarely get to see overseas. Buck, are you concerned about traveling overseas? Of course I am. Are you kidding me? It's not like, and I love Egypt. I used to live in Egypt for a couple of years. It's been a while since I've been back, but obviously I've gone back and forth my entire life because of my family over there. But yeah, I'm terrified that something's gonna go wrong. And I'm taking COVID rapid tests with me so I can make sure that I'm able to produce a negative test. But it's not like Egypt has been super buttoned up on vaccinations, and I pray to God that my family over there is vaccinated. There's a lot of reasons why I'm not. Here's what I'll say. It's so cool. And if you guys have never been, when things start to settle down, I invite all of you to go. Egypt is one of the most fantastic. This is not where I thought the primetime show was going to go, and we'll wrap up here in just a second. But Egypt is among one of the coolest places in the world. And Jamie, or Jaime, however I pronounce his name, is asking to bring you guys back some souvenirs. I actually have a bunch of stuff from Egypt on my desk. I've got my I've got my little King Tut. I've got my ancient Egyptian cat, my alabaster cat, and I've got my two real cats chilling in the office with me. I've got my scarab with some hieroglyphics on it that's made out of jade. I've got a lot of cool stuff from Egypt in my house. And I'm really excited to go back because I haven't been in a long time. But yeah, I'm scared shitless, to be honest with you. I'm scared shitless, to be honest with you, to go and to come back in the middle of an NFL season, because if anything goes wrong, it's not a quick trip. It's going to take me a full day to get there and a full day to get back, and it's not. I'm not excited yet, because it's going to be a lot of hassle, but it's important for me to go see my family. So I'm excited. I'm grateful to Austin and Zach and to my bosses at the radio station for letting me go on the bye week. And I'm hopeful that I'll be able to come back in short order, because you guys may not see me for a long time. So keep your fingers crossed for me, if you would. Lucas can fill in for you boxes, Dallas. Yeah, you guys, he would love that if Lucas is going to fill in for me on the bye week. He's going to get his shot with me on vacation while I'm overseas. But yeah, I'm really excited about that. So I will take a lot of cool pictures for you. Broadcast A to Z from the pyramid, says Eddie. Again, I'm going to avoid putting myself in bad positions. And I love the Middle East. I love my heritage. I'm half Egyptian. But I would say to you that for American journalists, even though I'm a sports reporter, they don't know that. And if I'm running over there with recording equipment, I don't want them to think that I'm doing something that they would not like. So I'm probably going to leave the A to Z stuff to the rest of the crew while I'm out on vacation. Anyway, let's wrap this show up, and I'll definitely bring some new cool stuff back from Egypt. It's been a couple of years since I went, and I'm so excited to see my family. It's been a long time. But the question that I have to end today's show, since we're watching the Manning cast, and I've got it on in my office, how many streaming services are you paying for right now? Between, if you've got Netflix, if you've got Disney Plus, if you've got ESPN Plus, or YouTube TV, how many different streaming services are you paying for right now? Give me your answer on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch in the comment section on the A to Z Sports Primetime Show. Let me know how many different streaming services are you paying for right now? We were talking, producer Reed and I were discussing this before the show started, because I pay for cable, traditional cable, but I don't have cable boxes in every room in my house. I've got 3 cable boxes, one in the guest room, one in my office, and one in my living room. But upstairs, I just have a smart TV. So I have my ESPN Plus app and HBO and all that stuff on the TV in my bedroom. But how many streaming services you paying for right now? Because I counted out mine, and it's more than I would like to admit. I'll tell you how many I'm paying for, and we'll talk about how many you are paying for here in just a second, right after I tell you about our friends at the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage. GaryAshton.com is where you go. Gary Ashton is the person who the Titans trust, who the Predators trust, and who I trust as a part of the A to Z Sports Primetime Show. Gary Ashton is the official real estate agent of all 3 of those entities and the best real estate agency in Middle Tennessee. Gary Ashton will help you find the intel that you require to sell your home for more. You want to capitalize, if you're selling, on what is a ridiculous, just a insane market in Nashville real estate right now. I know, because I bought my home with Gary 2 years ago before things went nuts. Gary and his team told me that this was going to be the place that I needed to be, not just because it's logistically great, not just because it's perfect for, me who lives alone with, now 2 cats. I guess I don't technically live alone, but because of what this area was going to be in a couple of years in downtown Nashville. And you know what? He's right, because there are massive houses being built up around me, nearly twice what I paid for my home 2 years ago. And that's because I got the intel from the Gary Ashton team. So I'm gonna do pretty well on my first dream address without the stress real estate investment. Thanks to the Ashton team. You can too at GaryAshton.com. So, how many streaming services are you paying for? Kevin Petaway says first 6, but 10 sevens. Kenyata, forgive me, I don't want to mispronounce your name, says 11. 11. That's nuts. Now, I'm going to count cable as part of mine. So I pay for cable. I pay for Netflix, Paramount Plus, Peacock, HBO. I've got Disney Plus. I'm missing one. What am I missing? Amazon Prime. I'm paying for Amazon Prime. So I've got 7, including my cable package that I'm paying for right now. It is insane. 4 or 5 if you count Spotify. I'm not counting Spotify because we're talking video. I do not want to, music you can get into a lot, but like YouTube TV would count for this because a lot of you guys are cord cutters. Netflix and Disney Plus for Stacey Wills. Netflix, YouTube TV, Disney Plus, HBO Max, Apple TV, and Amazon Prime included for Jen on Facebook Live. Kedrick is smarter than all of us. He says, 1, my family and I share passwords. Especially after I got my radio contract, my parents were like, all right, you're making 2 salaries at this point. You don't need to be on our Netflix anymore. We don't need to be paying your phone bill anymore. We don't need to be paying your car insurance anymore. So all of that got sandbagged as soon as I started taking 2 salaries. But the smarter people are sharing passwords among their friends, and I guess that just means that my parents don't love me anymore. Is all that I have to say about that. If YouTube Premium counts, I've got 6, if not 5. Yeah, I think YouTube Premium counts. 14. God, says Joe, I need to do something different. Yes, Joe, you absolutely should. Okay, if cable counts, 1, says MB. Oh, MB's old school. HBO Max, HBO Max probably the only one I need because of how many different HBO shows I like and I watch. But yeah, 7, including my cable packages. This is where all my money goes, basically. Thank God. If you listen to my Bussin' with the Boys episode that I did with Will Compton and Darren Bates, you know though that for me it's a tax write-off. So that's coming up at the end of the year. Thank God. That's going to do it for us on this prime time Monday night. One more show to do before the Thanksgiving break, and then of course we'll be able to do this again from New England, from Foxborough to be specific, on this coming Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Radio show tomorrow is going to be a lot of fun. We'll have Josh Pate from CBS Sports HQ. We'll talk a lot of college football. We'll have one of the high school football players in the state of Tennessee who's making a really cool playoff run with his team right now. We've got a lot of great guests on the radio show in the last week or so, and I hope that you guys are hanging out with us there as much as you are here as well. 615 sessions, we're still going to do it on Friday because even though it's Thanksgiving, I'm not going to my parents' house. Me and my girlfriend, we're going to go to a nice steakhouse in downtown Nashville because I don't cook. I haven't used my oven in almost a calendar year, and I didn't even use it. Dara, my girlfriend, used it to make our last Thanksgiving meal because I tried it once in 2019 and then immediately realized that I don't like to cook, and so I'm never going to do it again. So we're gonna have a Thanksgiving meal here in Nashville. Going to be covering Titans practice for you as well, and then I'll ship off to Boston on Saturday and cover the Titans and the Patriots for you on Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your evening. We'll talk to you tomorrow for one more edition of the Primetime Show. Until then,